The views and opinions expressed in these historical letters that may contain vernacular used in the World War II era, the post-war era, and the Cold War era do not reflect the views and opinions of any of the individuals involved with this project, including, but not limited to, the podcast's creators. Morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Allison.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm pretty good. We've been hanging out for a while now.
Yeah.
Which is nice. But this is episode 120.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. It's milestone, but it's 120. So that it's actually a very significant episode.
It is.
It is a significant episode. I'm not going to say why. It will be clear at the end, but it's a nice episode to come on to. It's a beautiful day. Yeah, we got some really fun letters. I'm very excited because, we're coming into the end of summer, beginning of fall. Actually, this is fall then, isn't it? Because our first letter is from September 22nd.
Yep.
So fall, we are in it. We're not in it quite yet here. And like I say, I try not to wish away the beautiful summer, but I am so ready for fall. So this little detour into fall today with Sweetie is going to be very welcome.
Oh, I agree. It's just been an unusually hot summer with some strange weather. I know in a lot of different places there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's something about I just want to wear a cardigan and put on some good music, think about Christmas decorations because I start planning in August, and drink a pumpkin spice latte. I'm there. I've been there for at least a few weeks, and it was still July at that time.
It's true.
Yeah, but now it's okay, we're getting into the second half of August, and all I'm thinking is okay, September, October. And because I've been getting into more Disney stuff, which I won't go into here, more recently, my Instagram feed is the Mickey Boo Party Halloween Parade thing.
Yes.
Which starts in August, so it's already started, and it goes until it goes until Halloween. And so my feed is just the Headless Horseman with a pumpkin riding up Magic Kingdom's Main Street. And some Disney fans will probably correct me on how I'm saying this, but you know what I'm talking about. And the grave diggers, and I'm my Instagram feed is in the fall. Everything else is there except for the weather outside.
Except for actual time.
I'm calling it.
Except
I'm
for
done.
The present.
I'll go find some pumpkin spice
Reality
seasoning.
is messing with us. Oh no. But it is, we're getting into the fall. And as we all know, we've been waiting for Chester and Laura to come. And so they managed to avoid coming all summer long. Good job, Chester.
Delay.
So, but we're going to be getting some answers today, which, I mean, I feel it does. You know what this feels? It totally feels like a soap opera. It feels like the soap operas I used to watch it during the summertime as a kid, when you're there was always cliffhangers every Friday, and then Monday it never resolved itself until the next Friday. That's what it feels like. But we have 3 letters today. Ooh, and some of the exciting things today is we have a postcard that we get to see. I love seeing the original postcards. Those are fun. And we are going to introduce a new character.
We are going to introduce a new character.
Yeah. So, would you like to do some general housekeeping before we get started?
Yeah, we absolutely should. Hey, we've been seeing a lot more. I'm actually going to start with the audio channels today. We've been seeing a lot more downloads on the audio channels, on the audio platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We know there's some people going through the whole library, binging the Sweetie content. Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's dedication, and, we appreciate it, but you're getting the full story of a real person, and I'm just like, I don't know where else that exists. So if you would like to binge through all the content on the audio channels, join all of the people over there doing that. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, go ahead, follow, download, leave a review. That really helps. It helps more people find it in the search engines when they're just looking for history, local history, and all sorts of things like that. It's building up over there. YouTube, we've had some newer subscribers and everybody joining. Please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help. I know if you watch YouTube videos, you hear this from every single channel, but we are not every single channel. We value absolutely every person subscribing to this channel because it means you have found this podcast, and it's a specific niche, obviously, but it's not something people traditionally seek out, and so it helps move it up in those search bars. Same things for local history and genealogy and things like that. Every subscriber really helps us get to some goals. So please like, share, and subscribe to the Love Sweetie podcast. And of course, check out the website. Hey, we have a photo in today's episode. You're going to want to go on the website to be able to see that photo, especially if you're using the audio channels. So check that out at www.lovesweetiepodcast.com. And of course, the Sweetie scrapbook buttons and links will lead you to the photo albums. Because trust me, if there's any photo you're going to want to look at in a recent episode, it's probably going to be this one outside of Sweetie on that ladder, because you need to go see that one as well. Yeah, that's it for the housekeeping. So
yes. Yeah, let's head in to September of 1952.
363 North Main Street, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, September 22nd, 1952. Dear Mama and Papa and the family, this will have to be brief, but I wanted to write and acknowledge Papa's 2 recent letters and perhaps comment and answer some questions. I thought sure when I read Papa's last letter, where he started it out very formally, Mrs. Lewis S. Graham, that I surely would have my ears pulled way down and tied under my chin. Was glad to find it was only absent-mindedness, though I surely don't chide anyway from being absent-minded, for just recently I wrote a letter and directed it to Frank at 2215 Oak Street, Doylestown. And often I write Mrs. Lewis Graham, Des Moines, Iowa. So I don't really care, as long as I wasn't being made to inhabit the doghouse. My conscience has been giving me much trouble for not having written you more regularly, and so I wasn't too surprised to be called down. I go along with you on the premise that no news is good news, but like you only up to a point, and I don't like to go too long without writing, for knowing how I feel, I understand how you feel. I seem to take things by spurts, though. For a while I was writing almost every day, and then I got busy at something else, and the writing suffered. I shall try to write more frequently, though, Dr. Chester Demery. I'm only teasing, though, of course. I, like you, am counting the days till you should be started here, and wonder if you would write me where you expect to stop on the way. This letter says you are going to stop and burn the mole off Aunt Mary's nose, so I expect you'll be there a day or possibly 2, and you'll probably want to stop with Aunt Sarah overnight, and I urge you to do that, as it will make the trip more pleasant, and you'll not be so bone-tired when you come. Only I thought I'd like to trace you on the way if you could give me a good idea of your stops. If you feel the farm bell will not make you too heavy a load, you might bring it. However, as I've already written you about coming after it some day, you can leave it there for the time being. I do not like to have you travel too heavily, as there is always the chance of a flat tire or some such incident when a lighter car would be to your advantage. I'd rather you'd bring your heavy underwear and pajamas than the heavy farm bell. I warn you right here and now that we aren't just joking, joking about your staying all winter, and that stuff about hiding your car keys isn't to be laughed at either. I'm glad you were coming prepared for some pictures, as we haven't had any good ones taken for a long, long time. I shall be glad to turn over all this photographic equipment, as Miss Darst is despairing over its laying around. Incidentally, I got a letter from Aunt Mary recently, and will send it on to the family once it is answered. I don't like the after-effects of the cocaine. Neosynephrine doesn't make me gag and doesn't make me feel as though the whole back of my nose were about to come loose. I'm disgusted with this stopped-up nose that seems to persist, and I wonder if it really is hay fever or something else. I got a bad bottle of neosynephrine the other day. It had turned dark and had flecks and stringy stuff in it, like the mother in vinegar, and so I took it back and complained and got another bottle. But I wish I could get it cleared up instead of just tolerating it. I am planning on going to school tomorrow to talk with Lewis's teacher about having a party for him there, as we did last year, and as he has been begging me to come and visit, plan to stay a while, and perhaps then I'll have more to tell you. I'm going to send to Papa one of his spelling papers that he brought home. I have a duplicate of it for his school memory book, so you do not need to return it. The star is his teacher's method of marking it all correct. She made it. Lewis didn't. He does seem to be ever so enthusiastic this year, which is just great with me. He likes his teacher, and she must like him from the things he tells me. They go by alphabet in their turn at finger painting, which I just don't consider very satisfactory, but apparently they do. I asked Lewis what he had made on his first try, and he looked at me and said, "What can you make with finger painting? Not a picture." Just designs. I call them smears. And I agree with him. The school seems to be taking on several additional items that I agree with wholeheartedly, though I don't remember that they were taken up when I was a kid in school. One is that the teacher reads from the Bible every morning, and they learn a prayer to say in unison. Lewis came home today to tell me the story about the 90 and 9 and what it meant, and I thought he told it rather well, too. And the second thing is that they go to some lengths to teach them safety rules and then see that they are enforced, and I go along with that. He is singing much better than he did, and I am often tickled to death to hear him practicing and improvising on some of the words. He sings the Star-Spangled Banner with great gusto, and often while he is in the bathroom, he practices to himself. But all the enthusiasm is funneled down the heater duct, and I can get a good bit of it that way. He prints pretty well, I think, but he does have some difficulty in copying, as his left hand covers up what he has just written. For instance, he was to copy a sentence that said something about going through the school building. Well, he copied BUI, and then because his left hand covered up what he had already written, he finished up NG. And I think it is quite understandable, as he saw that I and thought he had done the LDI. Read that 2 or 3 times, and you'll know what I mean. I hope.
I understood what she meant.
Yeah, it took me 2 or 3 times. She's right. But then I was like, yep. The biggest thing, though, is I'm also left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't concerned with, like, the spelling issues. I was concerned with ink smearing. Or I would get the lead of the pencil along the side of my hand. So that's not fair. So, because it would just be like, oh man, it's like I can wash my hands off.
It is, yeah, because of the left to right orientation and the way that we read and write. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. My son is left-handed too, so I understand.
That's why I turn the paper. I just and write it at 90 degrees. You can
that's exactly how they deal with it. Yeah. So so this is really awesome because you can see how she's able to find the things his I don't want to say inconsistencies. I guess it is kind of an inconsistency, but the places where he's having trouble, she's able to look and identify what the problems are, and so then she can help him work on it. And it does seem like his teacher this year too is so much better.
Oh,
but I was thinking about that. I was like, if you have a really, really awful teacher, then that's your baseline. And so this teacher just has to not be mean, and she'll be better than Mrs. Hauk.
That, and he knows his class. When he was going into the first grade, he was also not from the area.
True.
So there was a lot of additional pressures. Now he's like, he knows the people he's going to school with. He's returning to something he's been to before, and it's not Mrs. Hauk. So everything's a win. And then there's cupcakes and things. Like,
yeah. And that was
they're
big
planning
hit. That was a big hit last year. And so I'm really glad that she's decided to do that again. But going from the beginning of the letter.
Yeah.
So she's writing to her dad. They're talking about like, them coming out. And she's counting the days. So we know that he has family in Indiana.
That's right.
So he's able to stop by in these places, and then and Aunt Sarah, she's in Pittsburgh, right?
I think so. Yeah, she's in Western Pennsylvania.
Is it Sarah Rosanna? I don't know. Nobody likes to use their first
names. I think so. Aunt Mary, just for our newer listeners, is married to Cyril. So Mary and Cyril are together. That's Chester's brother and his sister-in-law, and he's going to deal with them all while he's there. It's like, While I'm passing by, let me be the doctor. And then Sarah is Chester's sister, Sarah. Though Sarah Rosanna Schuler is also, there's also a Sarah on Laura's side of the family.
Well,
So,
of course, and there should be, because why not? We have Elizabeths on every side of the family.
Yeah, we do. So.
And there's Bobs everywhere. I mean, this is great. I love it. So they, they're getting ready to travel. So we know that we always have that, like, oh yes. And then, like how she's like, get rid of all this photographic equipment because they have it laying all around. Miss Darce doesn't like that. We know how much she protests against that. So this was, so she didn't like the cocaine.
Yeah.
In her nose. That's interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of, insert medical disclaimer here. Special disclaimer. The medicines and other medical treatments noted in these historical letters from the 1950s are specific to Sweetie's story and might not be recommended today, or are even more regulated than they were so many years ago. As such, none of the medical information contained within these letters is to be construed as medical advice. Talk to your doctor. Thank you for your attention to this message. Now, back to the show. Yeah, so the neosynephrine, she's been struggling with the sinus infections and stuff like that. Yeah. She just wants it to be gone. And I guess that was like the main course of treatment at the time. But this medicine sounds, that bad batch sounds really bad, which makes me think, what is a good batch? If that's the bad one, she's like, I don't want to use this. I'm like, don't use that.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell when something's happened. And they sent that. I wonder if they even looked at it, but that's kind of gross.
Yeah.
But she's like, I mean, any good pharmacist would replace that. That's disgusting. But I'm glad that she was able to get that done. So Lewis is just doing so good in school. Like, we were able to talk and see, like he's enjoying it. The teacher's nice. And I do like how she's talking about the things the teacher, and she's like, I'm not really excited about this, but I am excited about that. And I do like this. I will go along with that.
Yep.
So that's good. So I'm mad, but that makes her feel better.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure that there was that feeling like, oh, I'm hoping that he does well this year and has a teacher and enjoys himself, because last year he didn't. He was singled out. He was picked on by other kids. And the teacher sided with the bullies, which was does not sit well with me. I don't go along with that. Sweetie didn't either.
Yeah.
That was a great episode. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, I'll have to put the link to that episode up on the screen here. So
the singing. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine the little one just singing, oh, say, can you sing? Just like I imagine.
He's practicing. That's exactly what it was like, I'm sure.
So she's able to see. So she's
trying to get work done. She's like, I can't. Like, I just can't right now.
That's amazing. So this is good. I feel like we're at the precipice of something. I'm just waiting for something. So let's see if maybe we'll get a little bit more answers as we move on.
I'm sorry your TV set isn't working, as you'd get a lot of resumes of the candidates' tours. I don't believe I wrote you that we had one bad storm that broke the chimney mounts and let the TV antenna fall over the side of the house. It was just at Labor Day, and as the roof is so high that our ladder wouldn't do at all, we had to call a TV service man and have it fixed. It cost us $11.45 in all, but as we are covered by insurance, we expect to have it repaid. Well, as a result, I got the man to do some seesawing around, and now we get channel 10, 2, 3, 5, and 6, where we only got 10, 3, and 6 before. 2 and 5, the added ones, are direct from New York, and surprisingly enough, are often better than the Philadelphia stations, depending on the atmospheric conditions, of course. Just look at the variety of channels you'll get to choose from this winter. I agree with you on Eisenhower, even though Miss Darce does call us that all the time. I am surprised when he started out by being so sure that there'd be nothing but his wishes carried out, that he has knuckled under to the GOP to the extent that he has. And it seems to me that if he is off to that kind of a start, we can be pretty sure where he'll wind up. Miss Darst has come around to my way of thinking, somewhat. For she said first that even though she was a Democrat, that she was going to vote for Ike. I accused her of hero worship and pointed out a few things to her, and she's ready to give him the axe now. If my hopes will help, Adlai will get into the White House. It doesn't seem that the Republican skirts are so clean either when Nixon is accused of excessive expenditures before he ever gets elected. Yak, yak, it is a case of the pot calling the kettle black. I thought you knew that all of Lou's folks are part of the dad-dratted Democrats. Elizabeth's husband and her father-in-law are Republicans, and Joe and Mrs. B got into an argument that left us all at Quaker meeting at the dinner table, but that was partly because Joe let Mr. B argue himself into the side pocket, and he couldn't think of a good rebuttal. I wish old Jimmy Burns had stuck by the Democrats, and often wonder what Roosevelt would do to get him properly lined up, but I don't think that will kill the Democrats in the South anyway. As Doylestown is basically Republican, I don't have anyone at hand to talk to, except Miss Darst, and once, after she'd gone into a harangue about Ike being general and head of a big army and able to handle and administer to the people, we told her she would soon be retracting some of those words, which, by the way, she is, but we also told her we'd evict her if she voted for Ike. Lou has a long face, and he said it without a glimmer of a smile, and she took it seriously, and then assured us she would vote the straight Democratic ticket. Yak, yak. I love this section.
It's funny because politics has always been this way.
Right?
And they're at a family dinner, and Joe and Mr. B got into it, Mr. Brown got into it, which is hilarious. I will say, though, that I am not a fan of Lou and Sweetie telling Miss Darst that she'll be evicted, because that is using force to achieve your social and political goals, and we do not do that, Allison.
No, we don't do that, even though clearly Lou's in jest and Miss Darst is taking it somewhat seriously. But I love the political dialogue here. Yeah. So it's such an intelligent dialogue. She's really they really consider the candidates. We know there's some people that just I don't know how much research they do going into the elections before they vote, but they are watching all the coverage, and now they have better coverage because they almost doubled the amount of channels they have access to in their television. But they're watching the conventions, and then they're watching this, and she's hoping that Adlai, for those that are catching up, maybe this is the first episode, this is the election of 1952. Something's never changed. This is Adlai Stevenson versus Dwight Eisenhower. And so, but that is a thing. Eisenhower definitely had points for being the army commander that won World War II. That's gonna help him. It helped Grant, no doubt. This helped probably Washington. There's a lot of other history there, but when you're the head of the army and you win, bonus,
there has to be something too for name recognition,
right?
And I mean, people, like you said, there are people who do not research. There are people who vote straight party tickets. There are people who just go in and who just oh, we're voting today, oh sure, let's do it. And then there are people like Sweetie and Lou who spend the time watching and reading and discussing. And she's in a place which is so very odd, because Doylestown at this time was Republican, mostly Republican.
Yeah.
And that is definitely not the way that it is today.
That is definitely not the case today. Doylestown is, there is no doubting that Doylestown is majority Democratic. It just is today. But, the parties have changed so much over the years. This is the Eisenhower days. And I think everybody who studied politics knows that, a lot of the balances have shifted, and just based on where the parties are versus where they were and what were the objectives and things like that, going back from the Truman into the Eisenhower days. Now, what I thought was really interesting is we get the call out here to Richard Nixon, and there's I'm not going to spoil anything, but these are I think we've had one mention of Nixon before this, because President Nixon's going to be a very large part of the overall story when we get into the late 60s. Okay. There is going to be a direct family connection to President Nixon. So anytime he appears, I'm just there he is. So these little mentions, but it's it's foreshadowing without her knowing it's foreshadowing. right? She could have the connection. She could have no knowledge of what's going to come up in the future. But like, I'm like, every time I see Nixon mentioned,
honestly, and I'm not giving it away either.
Yeah.
Honestly, the more that you talk about it, the more it's incredible to me, like how things come to be. So like when you talk about these like little connections like that we see and that other people will see later on, it is truly amazing.
Yeah. And now people are being like, wait, what's going on with Nixon? See
know,
in
right?
15 years. Look, you've got a lot of episodes to listen to get to that connection, but it is extremely significant. It's not just going to be like, oh, they met him on a dock sometime when he was on his boat. I shouldn't even say that much. I've said too much.
You've said too much. Okay.
I've already said too much.
Let us move on.
So, like, yeah.
But there's a lot of political commentary. I really appreciate this because they're the kind of people who are very involved in the political process and in this culture, which is awesome because we really need to be more involved with our communities and in voting too. There's a big school of thought about voting. I like to vote. I would like to vote. So, and I think everybody who has the opportunity to vote should.
My mentality because I know there's people that choose not to vote. My mentality is that people have sacrificed their lives for us to have the privilege of voting, which is a right, but like it's a privilege that we get to do this on the basis of their sacrifice. And to not vote, to me, it dishonors that sacrifice.
I can see your point.
So, and that's, I'm always going to go, even if it's like a forgotten conclusion of what's going to occur. It's exercising that amazing piece of democracy that we have. And I think most people would agree with that sentiment, that like that is the one thing that you get to participate and make decisions that in some small way is going to feed into the larger decision that dictates where the country's going. And the vast majority of humankind has lived in dictatorships or monarchies that never ever had that ability. So from, all the way back. So
yes.
Yeah.
So we are a pro-voting podcast.
We're a pro-voting podcast. Go vote. Also, there's an election this fall. Good luck to whomever and whatever's going on. So I have no comment to add to what's going on today. But if you'd like to, hey, read up on the election of 1952 as some supplemental bonus material about Eisenhower versus Stevenson. Spoiler alert, Eisenhower wins. Okay. So.
Well, thank you for letting us know, Allison.
We'll get there. So, yeah.
Yes, but there is. So we are going to just button up the rest of this letter. And then she's got a little bit after she says goodbye to everybody else, a little bit more for some other people.
The leaves are falling here already. Lou and I went out yesterday and grubbed out 2 or 3 tree trunks and roots and filled in some low places and seeded them and picked up rocks and coal scattered around the yard and then raked and burned a whole big batch of leaves. That instead of going down to the shore for the day with G-Mom and Elizabeth. And besides, I sold a couple of items from the shop to help out some, and we felt it was probably the wisest thing to do to stay at home. Don't worry about hunting up jobs for you to do when you come. They are laying in wait for you to get here, and you'll have a hard time getting past them, I'm afraid. There is the thing that should have been written to you long ago, but I've dreaded to do it, and Lou too. We found that the housing on the lathe, which is white metal, has broken. We don't know for sure, but wonder if it might have been done in transit, and there doesn't seem to be enough cutting tools. Lou is most anxious to have you come and see about that, and if you are going to be good and stay all winter, we can find enough woodwork and cabinet work to keep you busy for the winter. Like I said to Lou, if Papa did it, it would be done right. I got a great kick out of showing your letter, saying you'd like to see Stevenson elected or nominated, written even before the Republican convention, I believe, and saying that you were able to pick him. Yes, sir. That's my pa. I forgot to tell you that at school they also have a nature table where the kids take things that are of seasonal interest. Louis found and took a caterpillar, has picked up acorns and horse chestnuts, and this afternoon, or rather this noon, he came home to tell me that some little girl had brought a praying mantis, and they needed some grasshoppers to feed it. He was slow about eating his lunch, and if he was to keep his promise, I would have to help him, So we galloped over to a nearby vacant lot with a jar and pounced on 4 of them. I could practically see the neighbors peeping out of the window and wondering if one of them ought to run me down with a butterfly net. We got 4, and he said that would probably do until he could catch some more. Bugs still enchant him, but he is quite curious about everything. I am so sorry to hear of the increase in polio out there and daily hope that our kids will all be safe from it. There are other things, too, that would be terrible afflictions for any child. I was reading in the paper just today about a little girl who had rheumatic fever and has been in Children's Heart Hospital for months and months. Her daddy is dead, and her mother works, and I am almost tempted to write and offer to take care of her. I think someday, when we've made our first millions, I'm going to do that. Well, I'm going to stop now and add a personal note on the bottom to each of you. We'll try not to let too many days go by where Mama has to walk uptown for nothing. But with cold weather, there is much to do, and I should make some sort of attempt to clean up the house some. Everybody be good to everybody else, and love to all of you. Dear Jean and Glenn, I've been waiting to hear from you of the safe arrival of the box of things I sent, and wonder if you are or are not satisfied with the cotton slip and pants I bought for you. Did you receive it? Now who is growing lax in writing? I'm going to get another box ready to send, and you might let me know what you want, or if you want any repeats. I've about given you all the news in the family letter, and, as I don't find your latest letters, can't make intelligent comments, but wonder if you've an idea of what I could get Mama and Papa for Christmas. I must go along with the idea of no Christmas gifts this year, as there have been many additional expenditures for us. But since Mama and Papa are Mama and Papa, I want to send them something, and hope you can give me some good suggestions for something they'd like that wouldn't take the bank at Monte Carlo. I have been meaning to write so often to tell you that I have always been too big for that waves dress which is still unworn, and have given up all hope of ever getting into it, save being melted and molded to fit it. And as that is most unlikely, I wonder if I couldn't return it to you, so that you might make a gift of it to Florence. If she is still as little as she was, she could probably wear it. I just can't. And you might just as well have the pleasure of giving it to her. Write to me about this, as I'm going to mail some other things, and could include it. I always feel forsook when I don't get letters from you. Have had 2 or 3 lately from the folks, jacking me up for not writing, but newsy all the same. But haven't heard from Frank and Maida to speak of, aside from a very brief note, and the letters that the folks forward to me, since back in March. Sister doesn't write so often either, and Florence ignores my pleas. But I'm going to add a personal note to this letter and see if I can get some response from her. If I have to, I'll return your postal card, but with my name and address on the front. Love to you both.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So they, Elizabeth and G-Mom and Mr. Brown, or Mr. Brown, that is Elizabeth's Mr. Brown, they go to the shore every year.
Yep.
And she did say that they were always, invited to go and spend some time, but they elected to stay home and do a little bit of work.
They're still on the side of that house. So there's so much to do.
Yeah, there is. There's things, and she's like, they can always find things to do. And they said that, she's like, that's probably better that we stayed home. Yeah. And it's a shame too, because we know that Chester sent the lathe to Lou, and it appears to be broken.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Oh, the nature table. I loved the nature table.
Yep.
That's so fun. And that he was like able to go and get some grasshoppers. You know what really makes me laugh though? She's always so very concerned about what the neighbors think of her.
I know. Yeah. Like, she's up on the ladder and now she's like hunting for grasshoppers in like the middle of the day in a vacant lot. I just, she hears about this from lunchtime. I have this image in my head that he came home for lunch and he's eating slowly and he comes home and he's like, Mom, they have a praying mantis and I told them I'd get grasshoppers. And she's thinking, oh my gosh, like we have to like somehow guarantee that we're gonna even find some grasshoppers during your lunch. And then he's eating slowly. It's like, yo, We gotta
you got to
rush.
get some grasshoppers.
So then the vacant lot is assuming, I'm assuming it's on the way back to the schoolhouse, going up the hill, and they're like out there with a jar. What is happening here?
But that's really cool that the teacher's like, hey, she seems like a really nice teacher.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's no problem having a praying mantis, they're weird.
Yeah.
You seen them?
Yeah,
They're weird.
I've seen them.
They always hide in my beans. Like whenever I have beans, and they look like a big old bean.
Oh,
They're
do.
the same color and everything. So yeah, how they turn their head. That's weird. But that's cool. I'm glad. See, best teacher ever. I'm so glad.
Yep.
So the letters that we read on the podcast were all saved by Aunt Jean. So that's why we always have the personal notes like we have for the family. We have them for Jean and Glenn because that's who saved them all, which makes me sad sometimes, that we don't get the other ones, but thank you, Aunt Jean. So she writes to Jean and she writes to Glenn. And we see here too that Florence is really not. No,
she's trying. She's trying to get Florence to write something, and it's just that whole idea of like, at least we know the kids visited their grandparents. So Chester and Laura had Cam and R over there, so the connection is still moving along, but it's tough. It's tough, and that's the one thing is I think Sweetie, I don't want to say above the others simply because they probably see Florence more frequently because they're all in the Midwest. But Sweetie lived with Bob and Florence. I think she's the only one that did.
Yeah.
And I think she had this sister relationship with Florence that's just slowly disappearing. And she's sad to see it go. And circumstances are such that that's what's happening. But she keeps trying. She holds on to the hope that she can rekindle that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's sweet, and I really appreciate her for that. And then she does talk about this dress called the Waves dress.
Yeah.
And the Waves dress, the Waves were the women who were in the naval division of
the women's reserves, for the Navy.
So so that was Waves dress, and then we know that because there was a young woman who was in the Waves who died in the same crash that Bob did.
Yep.
And her parents were, and so like when she wrote about, her parents are in the area, and Sweetie was able to meet them. So when she talks about the Waves dress, I get waves of that incident. So, but wow. So this was a really nice letter, and we got some really great content with, the way that Lewis's new year in school, and we're getting very close, very, very close to Chester and Laura maybe coming. Perhaps we don't know.
Yeah, it's been a while.
This was this was a nice one. This was a nice one. So our next one, we have three pieces of correspondence today. Our next one is a postcard.
It is.
September 26th, 1952. Dear girl, your card for Lewis and my letter arrived today. I got permission from Lewis to open his card, look for the first of the letter, and then taped it shut till tomorrow. We are replacing Rex with a little black Springer Spaniel. Go get her tonight. I've decided I started off on the wrong foot before. We will just endure the ick and make a real house baby out of this one. I hope to just put the dog on his bed in the morn and let it wake him. Party at school this p.m., and I'm sick with a cold, headache, and hay fever too. Do you want my fur coat? The Waves dress you had at the Army-Navy store when we lived in Hatboro? Or Norwood? Which? Sweetie.
Yeah, and what is so phenomenal about this collection, because we were just talking about Aunt Jean, is that she kept all the penny postal cards. Because I could see whole letter collections surviving for other families, and the postcards never making it. That they could have been things that were just thrown away. So we get these little interim moments of what's going on, and we start to hear that something's being planned here for Lewis, who's about to turn, let me do my math here, 7 years old.
And it would seem that little surprise is a Springer Spaniel puppy. And what's really funny here is how she says the ick. And that seems to be a very brand new, like not brand new, but it's definitely something that's like worked its way into like the current vernacular. Like, so the ick is like, ooh, this gave me the ick. And I'm like, ew, that's funny that she
There
did
it
this.
is.
There it is. It's cool. It's cool. So we know that Lewis is going to be 7 and she is going to get him a puppy. That's so fun. So I can see this being good and bad because the first one didn't turn out so well.
Yeah. But there were other circumstances there. And I think, she had said we're going to wait a little bit, which is surprising that like so soon after they're planning on getting Lewis a dog. Because it seemed to me like after the experience with Rex, it would be like a couple of years before trying something again. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, opportunity. So as we're going to say, and just get him the dog. But he was very responsible with what happened with the other dog, and I think that's what sold it for her. I think she was just like, if he's old enough to know that something was wrong, he's old enough to take care of a dog at this age. So
yeah,
without further ado, Jamie, here's that story.
"363 North Main Street, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, October 3rd, 1952. Dear Family, this will probably have to be brief, as it is nearly time for lunch, but I wanted to get a note off to you at least. I don't have much of importance to tell you, but perhaps the usual drivel will make you feel as though you had something good anyway. We had Lewis's party at school again this year as last, but it was much more fun than last, as we played a musical game and chatted together as we ate the ice cream and cupcakes. I don't think it cost me $5 altogether, with napkins and paper plates thrown in, and Lewis was delighted. We had made arrangements to get him the puppy from a man at the base and went out on Thursday evening, leaving him home to pick it out. We were determined to take a male, but when we got there this little female was the prettiest, truest to her mother's breed, and seemed the fattest, liveliest, and most playful, and we liked her at once. She just seemed to have more personality than the rest of them, and as Lewis had said his next dog was to be black, we just took her and decided we'd risk future trouble. Her mother is a registered Springer Spaniel, and like the cat poem, her father was a traveling man. I had thought we'd just take her up early in the morning and let her wake Lewis up with her cold nose, but she started howling lonesomely in the night and woke him up. We stalled him off until morning, and finally we went to sleep again. But when she started in at 6, we just let it go at that, and Lewis came downstairs to investigate. Lou had chastised her for her discourtesy, and when Lewis appeared in pajamas and untied flowing bathrobe, she took to the hills, howling like a banshee. We had to coax her out from under the table, and I could just see her pouting and saying, "Talk nice to me." We did, and she decided she'd put up with us. She is thoroughly unreliable, so we make it a point of taking her out every so often, and I sometimes wonder if she'll ever learn where to and where not to. She plays with a little rubber ball like a kitten, waggles from stem to stern when Lewis comes up the walk from school, and jips delightedly when we come downstairs. After our first, shall we say, unfortunate night, I went to the attic and got a bunch of screens that Uncle Ned had bought, intending to cut them down to fit these windows, and never got around to it. Found an old leather belt and cut pieces of leather to hinge the screens together. It folds up like a regular folding screen and unfolds to make a safe pen with newspapers laid heavily on the floor. No lasting damage is done. I keep her there when Miss Darst comes downstairs, as the dog is too black for her to see quickly, and the dog is entirely senseless when it comes to getting between your feet while you walk. When I lean over the screen and tap the box with a rolled-up newspaper, she hops right in and sits down. Only one night has she smelled up the joint, and since then she has called in the night to be let out, and then she seems glad to snuggle down into bed again. She seems like a nice little pet, and don't tell anybody I said so, but I kind of like her too. Well, with the dog, Lewis's birthday was very successful. We have successfully fed worm medicine, fleed her, and pretty soon I'm going to hunt some dog food containing chlorophyllin, and we'll be all set.
He got his dog. Oh, and
Mm-hmm.
she is so clever.
Oh yeah.
Like she went
Yeah.
and did the screens, and she's like, she made up a little like a little pen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So cool. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, this is so sweet. Oh, this is already way better than that first dog that they got.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this dog is just meant to be. I talk with my father about this dog, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way he talks about this dog is like this was probably one of, if not the best dog he ever had in his life. Her name, which she doesn't give, and she's going to give an abbreviated version of in the next part of this letter, is Tootsie. Which is so cute, and like, it's Lewis's dog, but there's something about Sweetie and Tootsie which is adorable. Because think about it, he's at school all day.
Yeah.
So the person that's spending a ton of time with Tootsie at home, more than anybody else in the family, is Sweetie herself. So she's already like, yeah, I kind of like this dog. Well, you better. Like, you guys are going to be best buds. And then you get the whole element of Miss Darst being there and can't really see where she's walking. And it's like, oh my goodness, tripping hazard.
I'm sure that Miss Darst had something to say about having another puppy in the house. That's okay, because Miss Darst has something to say about everything. So yeah, we don't really care. She's already like a really good. She's got a registered mother, and then a father apparently just passing through.
Yeah,
that was really funny. But the way that this is coming out, this is really great. I'm excited. And having a dog, like, I'm just gonna. Are we going to show the picture now, or are we going to show it later?
Yeah, okay. We have a picture. That's why I was saying to our audio listeners, like, you want to go on the website for this picture because it's a picture of a puppy. And that's all I have to say. We just need to see this. So let me bring this up on the screen here. Now, this picture is probably from the next spring, but I wanted to make sure we get a picture of Tootsie on the screen. And she's clearly still a puppy at this time, but like, oh my gosh.
And she's got a little black nose. And she's got like a little bit of white on her chin. And her little ears are those Springer Spaniel ears, those little curly things. And then look at Lewis. Oh my gosh. And then we know this is at the house. Like, you can see behind. That's where they did the point work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know that. So we can see. But you think this is from the next spring? Makes sense.
I think so. Yeah, I think this is just the next spring.
This is just a really, really, really cute little picture.
There we go.
I love her. I love her. And her little face. She is so black.
She really is, yeah.
She was like super black. I could understand why Miss Darst wouldn't be able to see her.
At nighttime. Can you imagine that house at night? You're not seeing anything. So she blends in with the house.
And she's smaller too, because Springer Spaniels are like medium size. Like, they're not small, but they're not big. So they're like low to the ground, you know. Yeah. Aw. But this is lovely. And I'm so glad that we have this, that we can see Tootsie. Is there gonna be more pictures of Tootsie? Do we have to do that?
There are going to be some more when she's older. Yeah. Okay. We definitely have a few more in the collection. Maybe I'll make a dog album, because we've had Jeff the dog and now we have Tootsie. Yeah. But what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful pet. So we're going to hear a lot. If you're thinking, we're going to hear the stories of Tootsie the dog? Yes, we're going to hear the stories of Tootsie the dog. She is going to recount when stuff's going on with Tootsie. So if you're a fan of hearing stories about pets, there's some stories about Tootsie, so
I'm excited. I'm excited. It's a new character. It's welcome Tootsie to the Love Sweet podcast. It's gonna be fun. But we do have. This was our last letter, and we do have a little bit more of it to go.
We had a terrible storm last night. Lightning flashed, thunder roared. Toots, that's the dog, was outside with Lewis for necessities when a big crack of thunder hit and she skittered like Bugs Bunny, trying to get traction and get into the house. I just guffawed and added insult to her already injured sense of security. She's pretty cute. There were several tree limbs blown down. Ours were all small and will serve nicely for faggots for the fireplace, but others weren't so fortunate, and I felt sorry for whoever had to call all the fire equipment out. It went tearing past us, out into the country somewhere. Have to hand it to those volunteer firemen, as they were holding on to the truck for dear life as the wind and rain was heavy enough to take them off if they weren't careful. Well, after the storm, it has turned just downright boo. Cold, as little Em used to say. I went to the attic and got Lewis's heavy winter jacket out of mothballs and hung it on the line to air a little so he could wear it back to school this noon. He'll need it, and a heavy cap, too. That boy, I noticed today, his wool pants are worn so thin in the seat that his white underwear shines through. Goodbye pants. Louis seems to be going along in his schoolwork, but came home last night just thrilled to death, asked me if he could have 80 cents for a flutophone. Your guess is as good as mine as to just what that is, but I talked to his teacher last night at PTA, and she said it was just a little horn, and she was going to teach the class to play. She had, a year or two ago, and was fairly successful, and thought she'd like to try again. Well, after that I decided we'd go along with the scheme, and he was talking joyfully on his way about his flutophone. Probably an outgrowth of the kazoo. I am very, very pleased with his teacher. She seems excellent in every respect and knows how to get the best out of the kids. Louis is behaving much better, and she surely has a keen sense of fair play, and as I wrote you, takes the time for some Bible stories, and, well, I'm just real pleased. He makes extra efforts to please her, and she no doubt makes it worth his while. They have a science table where they have all sorts of things. Louis took a caterpillar that has since gone into its cocoon. They have 2 praying mantises, and Louis seems to be chairman, in charge of supplying grasshoppers for their daily meal. And now a toad has been added, and Louis must provide dirt and moss for it. It is Louis in name only, though, as he squunches the grasshoppers when he catches them, and I'm usually out dashing around like Toots trying to help him get enough. Such pigs, those praying mantises. He is growing so tall, seems to be getting the Graham height, and he isn't too hefty, but not skinny either. Had a good day in the shop yesterday. A Tennessee dealer came in and bought $38 worth of stuff, and by checking up, we figure at least $25 is clear profit. The trouble is that our stock is small, and such a buy as that leaves us depleted, and not much chance of buying at the same range in price. Have had one woman in this morning who bought a souvenir glass for $1. I guess we got it in a bunch of junk, for I can't find any record of having bought it specifically. I didn't expect anyone, as it is so cold, and the wind is bitter. I'll bet Louis suffers with the cold getting home this noon. It probably won't last too long, though, if I can trust Clint Yule. Have been wondering how Glenn has been able to stand working days while the World Series is on. I wonder if he has begged off saying he was sick so he could see the games on TV. Have just received Papa's letter saying they were planning to leave for here on Friday. That is today. Well, I've just got a couple of things to say to that. And they are hot dog and goodbye.
Oh my gosh. So, oh my gosh. So, they left.
They finally are heading east. It only took all year.
Right? Okay, so it's October 3rd, 1952. She's writing the letter. It's Friday. She's like, they should be leaving now.
Yep, they're on their way.
Finally. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, let's talk a little bit more about Tootsie before we leave her.
Yeah.
Because I think that Sweetie, the way she talks about her, she talks about her as if though the Tootsie can understand what she's saying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She's talking. Now, we had an amazing dog. Like when Preston and I first he actually got it for me for graduating. His name was Titan. And he was a beautiful puppy. He had a wonderful breeder that we actually stayed in contact with. And I let him know, like how he was doing and stuff. Titan was so smart. And I think that speaks to the breeder, like the person who, like whoever had this puppy, they took care of the puppy. Unlike the person who had before, like who they got the puppy from before. So the way she talks about her, like she was like upsets her and makes fun of her, and she gets upset when she laughs at her.
Yeah,
that's a great sign, because if the dog can understand it, and she's like forming, like you said, she's forming like this relationship with the puppy.
Yeah.
Oh, luckily they were able to avoid all of the trees falling and things, happening at their house that some other people were not.
Yeah, bad storm. I mean, it's not the one where like the greenhouse walls are going from the Rieselmans that we had in season 2. Hey, if you missed that episode, the storm episode 87. So for the big recap of the storm, back in Hatboro when they were staying at County Line Road across from the Rieselmans, episode 87. Remember the good old days. If you want to see that and you see some pictures of some of the destruction, this is not at that level. but it's still a significant storm. And then she does make use of a term that in modern speaking today would be considered derogatory to a certain group of people. This is the historic use of the word faggot, which has to do with a bundle of like sticks of wood and things like that. I think a lot of people have seen the medieval picture of the woman in Britain, and this is very specifically a British term, with like the wrapped on her back, like very large bundle. That's what that is. And still to this day, the reference is used, but less so because of the derogatory nature in other contexts and things like that. But yeah, my goodness, what a great letter. And she says, you know what's really crazy? She says, oh, this is just the usual drivel. How? He got a dog. How is this the usual drivel? Sweetie, and I love, didn't she say, I wanted to get a note off to you at least. This is her note.
This is her note. This is her note. This is what a sweetie note is. It's like at least a page and a half. They're selling stuff, and that's like really awesome for them. But they're always running into that problem, and they don't have enough stock. So this is like, you know, like the constant now in beginning this new business, this new venture that they're going into. But and then she mentions Clint Ewell. Remember we talked about it? We're like, who's Clint Ewell? And you found out,
yeah, she spells it wrong.
Again.
So, because she's spelling it Yule as in like a Yule log. His actual name is spelled, because we've commented on this before, Ewell. And he's a Western, I think he's a Chicago weatherman. So he's a really famous weatherman of the time. If you look him up today, that's what you'll find. And we know that is the spelling, and I was able to figure it out because if you know your Civil War history, you know about General Ewell and the Confederacy. So study your Gettysburg history if you're in Pennsylvania, and then you'll have no trouble at all when these things come up.
That was in a particular episode too. I don't remember the episode that we deep dived into that, but that was like that she had already moved to Doylestown. I remember.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So she says that. Hold on, there was something else. And then I like how she's like definitely getting this relationship with Glenn, you know, and she knows that he would rather watch the World Series than her. Totally understand. And then, boom, she hits us with, "You guys are on your way."
Yeah. So, I love her sign off here, because if I can remember, like there's sayings like, I remember Jean's Claire. I can remember the Yak Yak, and I can remember a whole thing, the Dickens. Sheila would like to say the Dickens. But whenever I was excited about something, and you like now in later life, I'm like, there's no way she was as excited about the thing that I was. She would say, well, hot dog. Like, so that was the thing. So seeing that here in the first time in the letters, it just brings back a flashback of when I was a kid to be like, hot dog. Like she would get overly excited for you, even though like, you know, she could probably care less. Like, you know, like one of the memories I have, even from like middle school, was it middle school? Yeah. She was the first one to give us like Pokemon games, because she was like, you know, it's like, you know, Christmas, and we played Pokemon Red and Blue. So yeah, legit. And I could see her, and she was also the one who would give us all like the Disney dolls when like the new movies would go out and things like that. And we'd be like so excited. She probably was like, I don't really care too much about hot dog. Like, isn't that exciting? I don't care what they're talking about. Who's a Pikachu? I don't know. But like it would be that kind of thing. So when I saw this at the end of the letter, I just kind of smirked, because like there's the first use of it, and appropriate in the letter in which they get the family dog. So yeah, but oh my gosh. Jamie, next episode is the big one. The next episode is, I'm not gonna keep everybody on the ledge here with what the next episode is gonna be like. Are they gonna show up? No, like it is the episode. Next episode 121, is definitely called I Heard Mama Calling Sweetie. So we're gonna get the visit in there. So I think the best way to end this episode, Jamie, is the exact same way that Sweetie ended the letter, with the title of this episode, which is Hot Dog and Goodbye.